Blue Raven here. This is a witch file for October 19th, 2014, passing on a bit of information. This will probably be the last witch file I do for a very long time, and let's see here. Well, let me just relay all this information to you the way I'd like to address it anyways. Obviously, I've been addressing everything from A to Z here on the planet for a very long time with my radio shows, and a lot of it's appreciated by a lot of people, and a lot of it's just really ignored, and it's almost like wasting my energy, my spirit, my chi, my universal life force energy, whatever you want to call it, on a situation that's not going to change. I realize that I'm wasting my energy in the illusion of time addressing issues that will never, ever change, because nobody's going to step up and stand up and be counted. Very few people will. So what I'm doing right now is kind of transitioning with my radio shows. I'm transitioning and going back to my world, and my world is the world I had before the stupid band and their induction and assault program happened to me, which means hardcore martial arts training again, just taking care of me, taking care of my dog and my cat, what's left of my life, of course, because it's been zeroed out. It never recovered due to all the harassment I've had over the years, and all the people that literally went out of their way to blacklist me and sabotage my life. So what I'm coming to terms with right now is that, I've done everything in my power to address things on a very high level of consciousness and also communicate the truth. I don't have a version of information. I don't have what I think is going on. I have facts from my benchmark of information. I'm not talking about other people's stuff. People I interview, that's their information, and you have to digest it accordingly. But my personal information, I know is 100% accurate, whether people like it or not. And over the years, I've had nothing but a bunch of little trolls and illiterate people, people who are skewed to like Rush music and bands. And, it just gets old after a while. They don't seem to realize, I talk to you guys, and you have no freaking idea how much trauma I've been through. And I navigated through it with ease. I mean, with full light harmonic, because of the spiritual work I did beforehand, because of my martial arts background, because of my spiritual background, because of who I am as a multidimensional being, is how I ascended out of that. But now that I look around me, everything's gone. My family's gone. Insofar as friends go, those are kind of a joke, because I don't understand the friend concept, because friends are never friends. They're acquaintances. People come and go like the wind. Everybody knows that. When you start growing and evolving spiritually or metaphysically on any level, and whether it's your training or not, usually you'll find that certain people either get very jealous of you and don't want you to ascend, and don't want you to progress, whether it's through recognition of something you've done or your martial arts or whatever. People are very freaking jealous, let me tell you. And that's the one thing that hit me very, very clear back in 2004. The people that inducted me were extremely jealous. They were extremely threatened. And they wanted so desperately to put me in a space of vulnerability, being broken, being this, being that, not being an empowered multidimensional being and female like I am. They hated me for that. And I realized that. And I think to myself, I've spent so much time trying to tell the truth in the illusion of time. I've put my heart and soul out there to the people. I've put my books out there, not for any personal ego or gratification. Believe me when I tell you, I've never sold hardly anything. So it's not about money. It was about putting the truth out, because I knew it all got shoved under the carpet. And I felt obligated to tell and communicate the truth for what it's worth, which apparently is not worth a whole lot these days, because people are still hiding. And regardless, even what you see around you today, all the crap you're being exposed to, you still buy the lies. You people still buy the lies. You buy the lies from DC. You buy the lies from mainstream media. You buy the lies from Hollywood and the music industry and everything else. So I'm giving up on you people, okay? I'm completely done. I am. I want to focus on my own world, what's left of it, which isn't much, let me tell you. About the only thing I have left is my dog and my cat that I actually give a crap about. As I said before, I'm zeroed out. They ruined my entire future. Literally, I had everything taken care of financially from hard work that I did as a land surveyor, by the way, and AutoCAD drafter. And they literally just wiped out my whole life. Like I didn't exist. Like everything that I busted my ass for over the years didn't mean a goddamn thing. Well, let me tell you something. My life meant a fucking thing. Excuse my French. My life meant something. My relationship meant something. And my accomplishments meant something. You don't just get a black belt. It isn't just handed to you. You have to bust your ass and train very hard for it, unless you're in a lousy dojo. Bottom line is, you don't get to the level I was in 2004 by sitting on your ass and doing nothing. And they went out of their way to destroy that. And they use psychotronic weapons to do it. And I'm not talking crappy little, everybody keeps talking about the cell phone towers and the stupid little microwaves. That's not what the technology is about these days. They're using artificial intelligence array systems that are very high tech. I don't know how many times I have to explain this to people, but I'm getting tired of it. So enjoy it on your own, really. And for those of you who have been loyal and dedicated and kind to me, thank you very much. But I'll tell you what, the majority of people that tune into my shows are nothing but trolls, are nothing but peanut galleries. They don't have any respect for me, my work, my research, or my guests. And that's quite obvious to me. And if you think I'm going to sit here and waste my time and the illusion of time every single day doing investigations, researching without getting paid so that I can provide you with information that hopefully will benefit you, forget it, okay? And now I'm addressing this to the people who have been nothing but total trash, illiterates that wouldn't get off their ass if their lives depended on it. People who don't even know the concept of martial arts. People who sit there and get to yellow belt and then they leave because they can't take it or they can't spar. I mean, these are the people that don't make it in life. Let me tell you something. I made it in life. I succeeded. And because I succeeded, I was attacked for it. And I'll never forget that. Okay? So you people can sit there all you want. If you think that band is innocent, they are not. They owe me restitution and they owe me, well, apologies aren't even acceptable at this point in the continuum because too much of my life has been taken from me. You can't get those years back. I cannot get those years back from me. I don't know how many times I have to say this. My life was taken away. Do you understand? And for me to get up there and go live on air and talk about and be gracious and kind and professional, it takes a lot. I still maintain my kindness to people, but I tell you what, you have no idea where I've been. And some of you who email me and say, oh, I've been through a similar program, like hell you have. Believe me when I tell you, you have not. Believe me. And let me tell you something else. I was one of the first people to put out Eye of the Remote Black Operations Areas Beyond 52, which covered the covert technology to the extent I covered it. Nobody else was talking about it. They were talking about sexual cults and Satanism and mind control and the petty microwaves and this and that. Nobody started talking about this stuff until I started coming forward. And then everybody and their mother jumped on the bandwagon, okay? So when I look at everything that I've done, like I said, I appreciate what a lot of you have done for me insofar as being supportive. However, I'm getting tired of the peanut galleries. I'm getting tired of the illiterates trying to pretend they're smart when they're stupid. I get a lot of people who listen, who think they know something. They don't know crap. They're parrots. I'm tired of it, folks. I'm way beyond this whole planet and consciousness. I'm way beyond this illusion. I'm way beyond this spectrum and why I even bothered to put information out that literally has not been respected. If DC had any class or courtesy, they would have cut me a check for a couple $1 billion for the hassle alone that I've been through. And so would the band, by the way. So would the freaking band. And you might say, it's like I said before, I talk about this a lot. It's not really about money, but it is about what they've taken from me. They've taken my opportunities away. They've closed the doors for me to have success in any area because they blacklisted me pretty much due to all this BS and all this crap. They've ruined my life from A to Z, and I didn't give them permission to do that. I didn't sign a contract for this, okay? But I will tell you right now, what I love most in my life and the illusion of living on this ugly little planet right now is my martial arts, my dog, and my cat, my animals. That means everything to me. I love the universe, and my martial arts is my life. It's my blood. And they tried so bad to ruin that. But I'll tell you what, once a black belt, always a black belt, and I'm more than a second degree, and I'm very well trained, and it doesn't take long for me to get my my groove very, very quickly, as a matter of fact. And I'll tell you what, man, do not screw with me. And that goes for anybody who thinks they can push me around, harass me, psychotronically attack me in any form or design. I don't care who you are, who you think you are. I don't care if you're Special Forces wannabe or some little punk off the street or some little sandbox pig out in the Middle East. You stand down and stay away from me. Believe me, you do not want to screw with me, okay? I've been through enough, and I'm not putting up with any more. So that's what I have to say today about a lot of things. That's pretty much it, actually. So, like I said, I'm transitioning a lot of things. My focus this year is going to be, I will put my science fiction book out. I've got a book on the occult I'll be putting out. I might be addressing some more technological books out, but they will be way beyond your comprehension because I'm going fast forward into high-tech information, and I'm just kind of leaving everybody in the dust. I'm not even telling them what my story, not even my story, the information is about, because I'm at the point now where I don't even think people are worthy of the truth. And so why am I going to bother telling you the truth when you don't respect me or what I'm saying, okay? And I'm not talking to the people who are listening and have been really obviously in tune and ascended in consciousness enough to understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the idiots. I'm talking about the ones that get paid to be jackasses. I'm talking about the lowlifes who are in denial to such an extent that nothing the band can do is wrong, right? Well, let me tell you something. Neil Peart did something very, very wrong to me. And so did the members of the band. And Mossbach is held accountable and everything else. And they don't have the class or the courtesy or the integrity to be men and come up and stand up and be counted and actually confess to the fact that, yes, they were involved in assaulting me with a psychotronic communication system and program. That'll never happen. Never happen. Just like criminals will never come clean. I've said this before. So like I said before, you see the world falling apart around you. Hopefully you guys are prepared for this transition because it's ugly. You've allowed it to happen. When I say you, I'm not talking about you guys who are listening to my show. Most of you are pretty active. But the ones who literally have sat on their fat asses and sat there and sit there and point fingers at everybody else but can't move their ass to do a freaking thing. You know, when I used to compete in women's advanced kickboxing. And let me tell you something. This isn't ticky-tacky crap. This is hardcore advanced kickboxing where people get knocked out, okay? We were pretty tough, and we trained very hard. And I will say, there were times when we'd have peanut galleries, and people would get excited, and they'd want us to hurt each other. Oh, you'd hear them, killer, killer. I mean, you literally hear people in the background while you're training and while you're sparring, trying to incite the whole thing to be some kind of an animalistic attack, when in fact you have two skilled, trained martial artists respecting each other in the arena, training very hard and being very technical with their technique. And not being the animals that you see in these other kind of things where it's just street fighting. We're talking really skilled martial artists who have spent a hell of a lot of time and energy training. And you'd always get the peanut galleries. And I remember that, but you tune it out after a while because you realize that crowds are just that. They're just lowlifes after a while. But one thing was really funny. My husband was sitting in the audience one time. This is when I was married. And he was sitting there watching us train. And the whole time the lady was nitpicking about me and nitpicking about the opponent and saying, well, I think they should do this and I think this one should do that. And he looked at her and he said, do you even train? Are you even a black belt? Are you even a martial artist? And apparently she wasn't, obviously. Once again, the peanut galleries, the people that never got off their ass to do a freaking thing but sit there and watch, eat bonbons and watch crappy Jerry Springer television. You know, those losers, those are the losers in life, by the way. And by the way, I haven't forgotten Rick Van Horn, by the way. Loser of all losers, Rick, and your pseudo-butt, whatever squad. And that's a personal inside conversation, by the way. I won't forget what they said. Rest in peace. I wish I had kept that email, by the way. I was at a coffee shop and I couldn't print it out. And it disappeared miraculously, which is quite weird, by the way. Anybody who doesn't know who Rick Van Horn is, he used to be managing editor for Modern Drummer magazine. Right, Michael? Right? Anyways, so right now my focus is on training very hard. What I'm looking at doing, I've made a decision. I want to just open up a dojo again and do some training and actually teaching at some point. So I think that's where I'm heading. Now I see all these people crying discrimination. We get all these illegals coming over, and of course they get free health care, they get free benefits, free housing, free food. I've been struggling for 10 years, okay? And I'm not trying to complain to you guys, but I'm putting it in perspective for you. That here you have an upper middle class woman who's very educated. I have a lot of education under my belt and has literally been harassed to such an extent and assaulted with such a hard ass misused covert technology that my whole life was just taken from me. But now we've got all these little, whatever you want to call them, crossing over the border, basically taking and reaping all the profits of everybody else's suffering. You know, if somebody wants to help me who has money, I'm not talking about you guys who don't. But if somebody out there really wants to help invest and you could be a partner and I'll do a check on you, believe me. If you want to help me formulate a dojo, then contact me. I'm not kidding either. But that's where I'm at. I think the bottom line is I should be focusing on my martial arts, which I love the most, which to me is the only thing I really have left. The nice thing about, you can have firearms, you can have this, you can have that, but you know what? It's always good to know how to fight and train. I'm not talking ticky-tacky training. When you look at Taekwondo, a lot of people say, well, that's just, a competitive sport. You have to take it to the next level, obviously. Taekwondo has some fantastic kicks, some incredibly powerful freaking kicks that will knock you dead, okay? The hands, you have to train a little bit harder on because the hands are not really the focus with Taekwondo, in my opinion. Although you can use bridge hands and things like that, open hand strikes, which of course will save your knuckles. But literally, for me, I studied with a professional boxer to get into women's advanced kickboxing. That's when after I received my black belt and I started progressing on to levels of black belt, I decided I wanted to do more competitive kickboxing, and I trained with a very hardcore professional boxer who's trained Golden Gloves boxers, and I learned very freaking well. Very, very well. As a matter of fact, I could pretty much knock anybody out with a left hook. Not kidding either. And I don't brag. I'm just telling you point blank. I've got the muscle memory and the skill. And don't forget that, people. When you address me, it's Miss Blue Raven or Solaris. You don't call me honey or dear or cutesy or this or that. You don't call me girl. Don't ever call me girl. Don't address me as anything other than that. And if you have a problem with that, then you don't need to be talking to me in any form of design. And sometimes I let it slide by some people because I know they're from the South. And when they say dear or honey, I realize that's part of their Southern style. But still, it's disrespectful. And they need to be awakened to the fact that that's not appropriate addressing people like that. Okay. So I'm just giving you a little bit of manners 101 here for anybody. You know, when I taught martial arts, I would always tell my students to call me by my first name. I was never into the titles of, you know, this, that, and, you know, all the special sensei titles. I was never into ego. I was always very real with my students, and they appreciated that because it made them feel more comfortable. They were terrified enough to be trained. And it's just the demeanor of a black belt because we have an intimidating frequency and because they know we could kick their butts. No, I'm not kidding. I mean, seriously. So that's something you need to pay attention to if you ever join a dojo, folks. But I will tell you, I see a lot of people who are out there and they love to criticize and they love to sit there and be the peanut gallery. And they haven't ever, what the hell have they done with their lives? They better start looking in the mirror and start shadowing their behavior. What the hell have you people done with your lives? I mean, really, what have you done? Have you bred children? Big deal. Oh, you work a job? Big deal. You know, the bottom line is, oh, I see you're getting your life sucked away into the false matrix all day, all night. But what have you accomplished? You know, at least I could say I accomplished a hell of a lot before I was inducted into the covert assault program, and to the event and to the extent that they pulled me into that because I was wired for it. But the bottom line is, the technology itself is flawed because they're flawed. I'm not flawed. I'm a multidimensional being, and synthetic telepathy works for me very, very well with the right people. However, you have a bunch of low-life trash units who are deploying technology across the board. If you think our country's bad now, you just wait till they start deploying this technology I'm talking about to you guys. I'm not talking stupid microwaves either. I'm talking about the array system. You just wait. You just wait until they use that against every single one of you. And don't come crying to me when they do, because I won't be here, and I won't be available or accessible. Okay? I guess that's really it. But I do want to make myself very, very clear that what I'm doing as somebody who hosts a radio show is not a profession for me. I'm not getting paid for it. I've donated my time and energy, and it hasn't been appreciated by various people in areas, and that's quite obvious. And I'm tired of the gossips. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. You know, I put up with a hell of a maelstrom of evil people attacking me back in 2004 and 2005 and 6 when I started communicating about the technology in the band, and then all Russia's fans were used as human shields against me. And I was always being attacked. So I'm used to that, you know, I'm pretty much used to it. But the bottom line is it's been 10 years now, and I'm tired of it. Freaking sick and tired of it. And I'm tired of the people that have lied and lied and lied, and they sit there. I don't know about you, but if I had a relationship with anybody, whether it's my quote unquote, I don't have fans, but this band does. If I had a relationship with fans, I wouldn't be sitting there pulling the wool over their eyes 24 hours a day, and I wouldn't be lying to them and lying about what happened to me with Peart and Alex and Getty and Michael. And you know, Getty Lee, you better get your ass in gear and communicate the truth, by the way, because I know you're behind a lot of crap right now. So, GG. Anyways, that's just inside information, by the way. Yeah, all that crap, all that dialogue, all that BS that you guys threw at me for what, how many years? Wasted me away. And the whole time is I'm trying to like save my money. They're spending my money. The whole communication system's totally trashed my freaking life. Any resources I had were vaporized. This band makes billions of dollars. They're freaking so wealthy they can burn money for a living, okay? You think they'd ever pay restitution for damages? No. I do have a problem with that, folks. And you would too. Believe me, if this happened to you, you would too. And I can't get over something that's literally ruined my life for 10 years and perpetuates it. And now that we have a country that's literally goose-stepping across the board, which is what I predicted, it's kind of like, you know, the game's over for this world. I hope you guys understand that this world is gone and faded to black. I talked about this in my first book, Transmutation Through Ascension. There's a chapter I wrote. I never, ever thought it would fade to black. I always suspected this world would ascend. It has not. Because nobody bothered to look up and do the work. And everybody's too busy misusing covert technology to psychotronically harass someone, to divert their conscious minds into false realities and false matrices. You know, I've watched people pretend to be my friends over the years. I've watched them be jealous of me behind my back and literally pretend to be nice to me to my face. I put up with that with a gracious Zen kind of master energetic. I've watched them so jealous of me that they literally try to relive their lives through me and pretend that they've been through what I've been through, when in fact they haven't even come close. You know, I watch these people play their parts, and when push comes to shove and the crap hits the fan, they're not there. So let me tell you something about quote unquote friends. They don't exist. They're acquaintances. They're people that come and go, like the wind, like the elements. But when it comes down to it, it's you and your multidimensional mastery. And if you're lucky enough to have a soulmate and a partner in this timeline or in this life, well, congratulations. I had one too, and they took him away from me deliberately. I didn't leave that relationship. They pushed me out of it, okay? And there's no going back to the illusions, by the way. Everything's a done deal, and it's way beyond that timeline. And they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose. You know, I guess they weren't happy enough in their shitty little relationships, so they have to sit there and poison mine. And they have to use psychotronic weapons to do it, by the way. They weren't man enough to show up in person physically, you know, manhandling me out of my home. They had to use a psychotronic feed and a live real-time assessment assault weapon system. Shows you what kind of lowlifes they are, right? Anyways, I feel for you guys, because what's coming down the pike here in the United States is unstoppable. It's unstoppable because people have not allowed themselves to learn, grow, evolve beyond the veil. And the veil is very thin right now, as we all know. We're heading towards Samhain. We're heading towards where dimensions are very thin between worlds. Not that they haven't been already, but literally this is an extra thin time, so to speak. And of course, I think it's appropriate that we're going through the death cycle here in the United States, which is what I'm seeing. It's the death cycle. We're dealing with the death, the angel of death. And that's the way I see it. It's a transition into another world. It's going to be dark. It's going to be challenging. And unless you're connected to source, and unless you understand multidimensional ascended mastery, you're not going to be able to navigate out of it. You're going to be stuck. And you better be prepared for that. And I'm warning you ahead of time, folks. I'm telling you the truth. There's one thing about me, you know, I have the expertise in my background. I don't just talk. I have information that's accurate. I don't think people understand it, because there's so much alternative media. There's so much BS filtering around and flying around that when somebody actually makes a comment, you assume that it's not valid or accurate. Well, they're not me, and I'm not them. And they haven't done the work that I've done on a spiritual level, on a multidimensional level, on a martial arts level, on a technological, covert technological level. They haven't done crap, okay? They're chimps and they're monkeys. So this is a hard-ass file, I guess, I'm leaving for you guys. But I just want you to be aware of this. I cannot spend any more time here. Chances are I'm probably going to delete my Facebook page pretty soon, because I'm tired of it. It's not getting me anywhere. It's not benefiting my energy field. You know, the YouTube page will stay up for a while. I'm still promoting my books. Nobody buys my books. I don't know why, because they're like phenomenal books. Without saying this with any ego, they're actually very well written. And I was talking about, like I said, a lot of this stuff way before these other guys were. Now everybody's trying to jump on the bandwagon, of course. The documentary about Rush, the DVD documentary, period. You know, if you're starting to look at my old testimony from 2006, don't bother. That was 2 years into the program when I was first starting to communicate the information. And that was like, I was so naive and just assessing it mildly. I went into many levels of this technology. I'm very clear on what we're talking about here. So the documentary itself is where the information is at. And none of you have purchased this documentary. So don't sit there and try to ask me to relate to you what happened when you don't bother to read the book or look at the documentaries. You really think I'm going to spend my time emailing you and telling you what I've been through? When there are numerous interviews out there. I can't count how many interviews I've done in the past. And of course, I've got the documentary as a benchmark. To me, that's a time capsule, okay? That's a moment beyond the illusion of time. Very significant and very important. That was a life-changing event that happened to me. It had to be documented. It wasn't like I just had some weird little transition. I had a huge event that happened to me in 2004 that destroyed my freaking life, okay? And I kept staying positive and positive and positive and putting up, you know, keeping the positive energy and the loving energy of the Zen masters towards my enemy. And they did nothing but keep harassing me. You know, Michael S., how do you want me to help? What do you mean, how do I want him to help? What the hell's the matter with him? Really? When he's involved in the induction and the communication system, live feed real time, he has to play the game? How can I help? Really, Michael? You can help me by cutting me a huge freaking check right now, buddy. Get me a brand new goddamn vehicle. That'd be good. Let's see. I'll take a Hummer, black, if you don't mind. And what else do I need? A dojo and maybe a brand new home. You want to help me out, buddy? You want to help me out? You want to put some money together with you and the band? Pay restitution? You think now's a good time? SOS? Where's the life raft? I don't even have to ask that because I already know the answer, okay? And you guys obviously know I'm not angry at you all, but I am disgusted with the majority of people on this world and how unevolved they are. And it's really a disservice for beings like myself to even be here. I mean, literally, it's shameful that we are beings like myself who are that advanced are even here. I didn't sign a contract to be on this world, and I'm not coming back. That I can guarantee you. There are other universes and star systems to dwell in, and there's so many beautiful places to be. And so far as the animals go, if I had my way, I'd teleport every single one of them off this world so they wouldn't be subjected to the evil that mankind does. I can't believe that there are certain places that have brothels for dogs. That's disgusting. You have to ask yourself, what is wrong with these people? Why is there so much evil on this frickin' world? Why? Why is there psychotic people doing things in the name of God? What God is that? You know what it is? They want to believe in Satan. That's Satan. Their God is a Satan. If you even believe in Satan, witches don't believe in Satan. I don't believe in Satan. I believe that mankind is evil as all hell. He can blame it on any universal species out there, but the bottom line is he's a piece of crap. He needs to be responsible for his own bad karma. So, obviously this is becoming a lecture, and I didn't mean it to be that way, but there's a lot on my mind. And I realize after training today how much I love my martial arts and how much that means so much to me. Like I said, they've taken every freaking thing away from me, but they couldn't take my martial arts away. And they couldn't take me being a master, a multidimensional master in consciousness and martial arts. They can't take away my knowledge of what I am as a multidimensional being and my initiations that I had way before they showed up. By the way, they missed out. When these guys showed up in 2004 to take me through their false programming, they missed out because who they want me to be is who I'll never be, who I never was. That's the bottom line. But jealousy, that's a real sad thing, folks, because you know what? People who are jealous get pleasure off of making other people miserable. And that's what these guys were doing. And their wives, by the way. Their wives are not innocent, not in any form of design. You can't tell me the wives are like left out of this information because I know they're not. And that just makes me think what kind of low-life trash they are. And the fact that they breed is even more disgusting, okay? So I could go on and on about it. But the bottom line is I really hope that it happens to them in a really bad way. And I hope that every single thing they have in their billion-dollar worlds gets taken out to zero. I really do. Because maybe then they'll realize that when you work really hard for something, you don't sit there and misuse technology to take somebody's life out and everything they've earned their whole life away from them. And then not only did they take it away, like I said, this wasn't just like a little robbery that shows up and then people go away. This is a perpetual harassment of covert technology, which is about brainwashing, conditioning, entrainment, psychotronic harassment, remote sexual abuse, remote harassment. And I can go into details. I mean, really ugly freaking details about this stuff, okay? Things that are so disgusting. When I look back, I'm infuriated. And they're sitting there on tour laughing about it like it's funny. Is it? Really? Wow, amazing. I don't think it's funny, and the universe doesn't think it's funny either. I guess that's really all I have to say right now. And for those of you who support my work, thank you very much for doing so. And I guess that's it. And have a good weekend. I do have a guest coming up, Barbara DeLong, on Tuesday on Hyperspace. And I'll be sticking around with Hyperspace for a little while. I believe Art Bell's coming back soon. I don't know, don't quote me on it, but I suspect he will be at some point in the continuum, so I'm sure you'll all be happy with that. And, he was one of the pioneering spirits behind the paranormal and radio shows, which is kind of interesting. So I never saw myself getting involved in all this. Quite honestly, I'm a teacher. I don't mind lecturing. I'm an author. I'm a multidimensional being, and I'm a very powerful healer and psychic and remote viewer. But I never saw myself getting involved in radio. This is just something that happened, for what it's worth. But I think I do a hell of a good job without any ego. And I take a good look at the other people out there doing interviews and this and that, even people in mainstream, and they suck. And they have no integrity, and they have no class. So you should appreciate what you have while you're here, guys, because I'm not going to be around here forever, and I told you that before. And the fact of the matter is, I'm getting real burned out and tired of a country that literally has betrayed its own people, of people that are illiterate, that choose illiteracy over learning, that a whole global collective of people that are so savage and so disgusting, they live in the dark ages, that we have free energy that we never bothered to use because a bunch of crumb bum pieces of crap who are trying to call the shots decided that nobody should have access to it but a few with the breakaway societies. We never needed to rely on any other country, ever. We relied on ourselves in America. We have all the natural resources. This was a great country. We have so many things here. We never needed to extend ourselves. We never should have contracted with the freaking Arabs, ever. Or anybody else for that matter. There's one thing about trading. There's nothing about selling your freaking country and under the noses of the American people to a point where all of our resources are taken. China owns everything. You've got everybody sticking their fingers in the pie when they didn't even, shed blood for this land. It's disgusting when I think about it. It infuriates the hell out of me. Coming from the lineage I come from on my mother's side, it pisses me off beyond words because we busted our asses for this country. We shed so much blood for this land, our ancestors, and even right down to the Constitution and being right there on the front lines of the enemy. And we still are, because I guess there's something to do with my bloodline that was a real attraction to these people harassing me as well, by the way. And also, that has a lot to do with multidimensional lives, soul extensions, and past lives, which of course are all simultaneous. And if you don't believe you have a past life or you've been reincarnated before, you have. Everybody has. I mean, even if you don't believe it or remember it, you always do. There's always a collective. There's always a band collective of energy that you can access. And sometimes you'll see things that are reflections of past lives that may not be yours. Like for me, I can access everybody's timeline, and I had a knack for accessing people's lifetimes without me being in that lifetime, which of course I was there as the observer, but that wasn't my lifetime. And I've done that before several times over, not even by trying to do it. It was accidental, and I started doing that a long time ago. And then I started realizing that it wasn't me, but I was a witness to what was happening. Like I was piercing a timeline in a parallel universe. It was kind of interesting to witness. And I mean, there's so much out there. There's so many fractals of energy, of information that are there. If you access them, I mean, it's everywhere. And what I find most disheartening about what happened to me is that they never bothered to take it to the very high level where I come from. Instead, they wanted to nosedive me into their drama of false matrices, false databases, like fusion center information, something you'd use for recruitment for anybody in federal connections. It's that kind of a technology where it's useful for military and useful for certain people in certain operations, but it's not useful unless they take it up, and they had to take it up a hell of a lot if they even wanted it to be successful. But they use it for the wrong reasons, unfortunately. And I saw that when they were attacking me with the technology. I saw how it could have been such a really good thing, and that they ruined it into something that was really disgusting and rude. Michael could have stepped up so many times over. All of them could have stepped up, and none of them did. They hid behind, and they cowered like true cowards and never came clean. Michael sat there and played the double agent, sat there and tried to be my friend. He was never my friend. He wanted to talk to me on the phone. I called him because I was stressed out and I needed to communicate. He was hitting me hard with the communication system, live feed real time, and I was talking to him to try to resolve it. So there were several conversations we had, and I'm sure he recorded every frickin' one of them. I can even remember sending him like my credit cards cut up and all sorts of other crap that I don't even care about. My prayer beads, my mala beads. I don't know what he did with those, but I sent him these things, and I sent them over to his agency. Like, here, you ruined my life. You took everything away from me. Here, have this. Have my wisdom tooth. Have this. Have anything. You've taken everything else, right? I sent him a CD one time of some idiot named, what's that jackass's name? Oh, I can't remember him now, but it'll come back to me. Dave Hart. Yeah, he's another one. Michael, you should look up that name, who sent me the CD, of course, which was actually correlating to a lot of the psychotronic harassment I went through initially back in 2004. This guy had talk about plants in the neighborhood. This guy had a setup right across the street from where I lived in a place where they have storage units. And he had a storage unit like two next to mine when I was putting my stuff in there after I was getting harassed out of my house with a program. And he's handed me an apple and said, be careful what you listen to. I mean, these guys were screwing with me like you wouldn't believe. If I could tell you every single thing that happened to me, I don't even want to remember all of it because it was so bizarro. But I do remember how cruel and rude they were. And they were so freaking malicious. I mean, it tells me that there's such evil people out here that will do such malicious things with no class or respect to anybody. And yet I see all these people crying about a hot cup of coffee at McDonald's and getting billions of dollars. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? After where I've been with this type of communication system? Are you freaking kidding me? So if you don't believe this stuff is real, it is. There's patents on it. There's scientists who can talk about it, doctors who can talk about it, who actually helped work on the technology. I'm not talking about Dr. Richard Allen Miller. He's old school stuff, you guys. And he's been on my show, and I think he's real funny and humorous. He's very knowledgeable, but he worked on the old stuff. And the old stuff is like just a piece of it. He has no idea what the new stuff is about. He's like lost with that because I've talked to him about it. But the new technology is an array system, and it's hardcore, and it's not just microwaves. If it was just microwaves, that wouldn't be a big deal at all. That's nothing compared to the crap they have now, let me tell you. So anyways, I guess that's really it for now. I hope you guys have a nice week. I'm probably not going to be uploading as much. I think I'll be uploading my show from last night. I'll continue on with that for a little bit. And then, like I said before, I'm going to transition into just training. I really need to just focus on my training and be in that space of the spiritual warrior, I guess, because I've delegated so much of my time and energy into these interviews. And I think people do appreciate them. I know they do, especially now. But I'm getting tired and nobody's helping me. I'm on my own, and it's I'm rogue. I mean, not in a bad way. I'm just like, I have to deal with things right now because no one else can help me. Okay, I've got to deal with my own life, my own finances, as I was saying, in my own future, and wherever else that's going to lead me. So, anyways, I guess that's it. Okay. You guys have a nice weekend, and I'll try to touch base at some point. Okay. Bye bye. Thanks for listening.